What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Vintage and Stuff podcast with your host, Drew Heifetz. This is the show where we dive into the lives, trials, and tribulations of the amazing people who make up this wonderful, wonderful vintage community. Today, I have Isaiah on the show. Great guy coming from Tacoma. Another Tacoma native. And his IG is Black State Co. He is well known for selling true vintage, younger guy in the true vintage scene, came from sort of a designer, streetwear, Japanese fashion background. He's got a very interesting take. He is well known for having a great curation, also well known for not holding back and selling all types of vintage. Pops up at Rose Bowl, pops up at lots of the famous events like Durango and Inspiration. We have a great chat. It's a really great episode. As you know, you're listening to the free 45-minute episode here on YouTube or on iTunes. But if you want the full 2-hour, no ad-free episode, you got to jump on the Patreon, guys. Down below in the link, there is the link to the Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you get all the episodes with no ads. Every episode is usually 2 hours long, and you get a 7-day free trial. So literally, you get to go listen to this episode, the full no ad episode, for free right now. Click the link down below. Enough of that. Let's get into the episode. Isaiah, welcome to the show, my man.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
It's going good. Coming straight out of Tacoma, am I right?
Yes, sir. In the Northwest.
Tacoma people don't like to be called Seattle people.
Yeah, it's our own little thing down here. It's about an hour away, but we still have our own little entity.
Nice. So yeah, man, you're welcome to the show. I've met you a bunch of times, seen you at a bunch of events, including Durango.
Yeah.
And you recently came up to my event here and slept outside the warehouse, which is right outside where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that was nice. A
With
nice view to wake up to for sure.
Yeah, totally. With your boy Jacob. So that's sweet. I'm stoked to get into this, man. And yeah, thanks again for joining me.
Yeah, anytime.
So yeah, let's just kick it back, dude. I think a lot of people know you now for true vintage. You show up at the Rose Bowl, you show up at like events like Durango. Obviously, you have built quite a clientele who buys from you, and you're selling to Japanese customers. And what's your dog's name?
Milo.
What's up, Milo?
You want to come say hi? There he is.
What's up, Milo? So yeah, let's kick it back to the beginning though. Like, how did you even get into the vintage business in the first place?
So I guess I got into the vintage business by personally shopping for myself. So I started with like sneakers. I started collecting and reselling sneakers, and then eventually I kind of found out that you can also find them like at the thrift store, like at a flea market or something like that, or swap meet. And my parents, they used to go to swap meets or Goodwills, and I used to stay in the car and not go at all, and I just wait for them to come
Oh,
back.
no
But
shit. Yeah.
yeah, one day I just decided, I was like, all right, I'll go into this Goodwill. And then I found like some old Nikes and like a Tommy Hilfiger jacket. And I was like, oh, the first time it's like brand new condition. It's not as bad as I thought. Because I just had a deception on like used clothes as not being as good. So
Yeah,
that's kind of
totally.
how it started. Yeah, like my older brother, he collected shoes. My dad collected and sold shoes. So just like selling and collecting was something that I just grew up doing.
So what was the shoe game that you started in? Like buying
Uh,
off drops or buying old vintage shoes or what was it?
I was mostly doing drops, so I would go camp out overnight for sneakers and stuff like that, like in the high school days, or put in my tickets for the raffle. So that's pretty much what I'd do, and I'd resell like either through Facebook Marketplace or through people at school, or I started going to sneaker events as well and bringing a couple pairs each time I go and things like that. And then my dad, he had a bunch of shoes from like the early 2000s and the 90s, so I had some original Nikes and stuff like that to see.
Sweet. So your dad had the pairs and you kind of got the references off of what he had. Did
Yeah,
he
for
let you
sure.
sell them eventually or what happened with those?
Yeah, eventually, like he was like pretty holding on to his stuff, but once I got older, he let me get a few pairs and sell them off here and there. And then there's a cool pair that like got passed down from the family. Like we had a family that played football in Oregon University, so he had like his player exclusives like Blazers and like a size 15 that we had.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool.
Um, so speaking of sneakers, what's your go-tos? What's your favorite sneakers?
Now I'm not into sneakers as much, so my go-tos are like either a black Vans old school, and I change the laces to black laces, or I wear black Solomons a lot too. So it all depends. But if I want to dress up a bit more, I have like some sneakers in the arsenal. Like I have a few pairs of Jordan ones, or like a pair of Comme des Garçons Dunks that I have, and things like that.
What Solomon style you rocking? Like the Gore-Tex sneaker style or what?
Yeah, the Gore-Tex sneakers are like the ones that you have the pull lace. I forget the exact model. I got them at the bins, like brand new my size. So I was like, let's go.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna jump into a guess question here. I'm gonna throw these in kind of randomly, but Keaton, you know Keaton JT?
Yeah.
You know this guy? Okay, he
Yeah.
writes. He
That's my
writes,
guy.
what is the most overrated vintage item or style?
Oh man. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I feel like things go in trends, but what would you say? Should we start from like a t-shirt aspect or like the true vintage game? Because I feel like there's
Whatever,
two
man.
different worlds.
Whatever you think. Yeah.
Um, I feel like I feel like somewhat now. I'd say denim got to a point of being overrated because people would jump into the, I guess, true vintage game strictly buying and selling denim. But I feel like that's one thing that has a lot of history things to learn out there, or like a big market and a big, I guess, broad audience where you can jump into it if you have like a good amount of money or able to buy stuff to buy it and sell it, because there's so many people buying and selling it, rather than like if you get into something that you like yourself or stuff with specific wear or different ages and things you specify, and it's kind of harder to build the audience for that. So I feel like the denim kind of
Yeah.
brought a bunch of people in because they see where the money is, or they see like something sell for a huge amount, so they're like, oh, I guess let me start denim, or let me try to start selling and collecting denim.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the trend is just people jumping in for the money, really, right? Like
Yeah,
and not giving a fuck, just chasing the money and yeah, hopping in something they really know nothing about.
yeah, I felt like definitely after Durango, like after seeing so many headlines over like a $70,000 pair of pants, it's like, oh wait, Levi's could go for that. I wear Levi's, or it's like which Levi's now, or what age, or how can I find these ones that are worth this much? And it's just straight to the denim.
Do you think people that whole like Durango $76,000 jean thing like made regular Levi's go up in price?
Uh, I'm not sure. I feel like it brought more attention to like maybe people in vintage that weren't either selling for say Levi's or pants for people that were just like doing the t-shirts or the 90s things, like, oh, I can make money off this now, like let me make sure I start grabbing these. And I feel like there's pros and cons. So there's more people grabbing it, so there's more pairs I feel like circulating or being found rather than like getting passed through. Say if people at the bins usually wouldn't grab it before, or they go to sales and they
Yeah.
just leave it by and it go past. So I feel like it unearths a bit more, but then it's like, yeah, people are just like, oh, let me start grabbing it, and don't really know exactly what to do with it, but know it's worth money.
Yeah, fully. Okay, so back to like your evolution here. So you're started with the sneakers. Is it true that you worked at Nordstrom as a stylist assistant?
Yeah, I did. So a few years like into vintage, I was doing the sneakers, then started selling like um archive designer clothing and like streetwear clothing because there's more profit in it and worth more money. I was able to find things for cheaper prices, whether it buying overseas or buying a second hand for bigger profits than the sneakers because it got a bit saturated with the shoes where the profit margins just go way down, so you couldn't make as much. But after all that, I started working at Nordstrom because I was in all the clothes and becoming a style assistant. I was able to like gain clients and different things, but I'd already had my vintage thing going. So a lot of people would come to me for pieces or see what I was wearing and ask where I got it. And I was like, oh, I sell it myself and I buy it myself. So like on my off days, I would hit the bins and then do part time at Nordstrom about 3, 4 days.
Sweet. So you're meeting clients and then they're coming to you for the vintage gear outside of Nordstrom.
Yeah, so like for Keaton, the one that asked the question, he was the stylist I worked with, and
Oh, no way.
he's yeah, so he was one of the top stylists in the company. So his stylist or his clients would be like Seahawks players or people that own big companies, like a guy who owned like an import and export company. So people would just come in and spend whatever, and I got the advantage to like go pull pieces for them, and they got to go based off of my taste or advice if they like the piece or not.
Explain, first of all, explain like when you say designer and archive pieces, like what do you mean by that? Like name some brands and like are you talking like Supreme, Comme des
We're talking
Garçons? Like what are you talking about?
like Comme des Garçons, Raf Simons, Rick Owens, things like that, Helmut Lang, or for newer brands like it might be there's like a brand named Sakai, like a Japanese brand, or a brand named Needles, and they do a lot of vintage inspired stuff. I don't know if you heard the brand called Beams. It's another brand out of Japan that
Yep.
does a lot of vintage inspired things. So things like that. I started mostly, I specialize in the Japanese designer realm or the stuff from like the early 2000s and the 90s. And that's what helped me learn so much about vintage because so much of their stuff is inspired by American culture or vintage and things that happen like that.
So how did you that's it's super interesting and it's a weird world to get into. I hear way more people that are say into like American streetwear because it's hard to find that shit. It's not like these were mass produced brands, right? They were very
Yeah.
limited. They were expensive back then. So how did you learn about this stuff and how the heck did you start finding this stuff to actually sell it?
I learned about it so through the sneaker world. So in the sneaker lines, I would meet different people here and there. I remember the first time being in a sneaker line, someone wearing like a Babe full zip up hoodie and a pair of Balmain jeans, and I was like, those pieces are just super interesting. It's not something that I see regular people wear, like either at school or at the mall or things like that. And I got the information, became friends with them on Facebook, and I learned about a whole different culture of like people dressing up in streetwear things and taking pictures or reselling hoodies for like $400 or $500 and reselling pants for $600, $700. And after that, I started following the people they would follow and repost, and they tag these random brands. Like I don't know if you heard of the brand name Number Nine from Japan.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah, so it's pretty close to Undercover. And Number Nine, he took his the designer's name was Takahiro, and he took a lot of inspiration from like Kurt Cobain and the grunge era. So he had like whole runway shows that were based off of like outfits that Kurt would wear, or like stuff that Axl Rose would wear, and things like that.
Wow.
Whether it be like distressed patch denim or like cargo hoodies and jackets and things like that. So when I got into the vintage scene, like the things I attracted to were like the distressed stuff, the painted items, or like old cargo jackets and military clothing and things like that.
Yeah, it's when I look at streetwear, the whole world of streetwear, it's a large beast. It's a mixed bag of people. And like it sounds like the kind of the side of streetwear that you're describing is more the people that like really care about what they're wearing and care about fashion. Because there's a lot of streetwear to me that doesn't give a shit. I find no offense to those people, but like there's a
Yeah,
lot of streetwear that like is just in it for the hype, right? Like what's the newest
yeah.
coolest thing that's coming out? But it sounds like you were getting at that point tapped into like this underground part of it, this more like obscure part of it, and more a deeper fashion appreciation.
Yeah. So I would be in high school, like spending all my either birthday money or something on a pair of like $300-400 pair of pants, and I have people talk to me or looking at me crazy at school, like, "Oh, why are you doing that?" Or "What are those?" Or "Those are weird" type of deal. And it's
Uh,
like it set the stone for everything that I know now and do now. So it all was worth it.
that's awesome, man. So yeah, like you're saying that those pieces you gain knowledge about real vintage from the pieces that were designed from the real vintage, and then that kind of like where was the transition into like say the bins or like really going hard into thrifting, and what were some of like the first pieces you were finding and looking for?
I guess what got me going to the bins more was after like I feel like it was a bit cheaper because to buy and sell all the archive stuff, it's like I have to invest maybe like $100-150 in a piece to make like 300 or 400 if I could find it for a good deal. Or where I would buy a lot of stuff, I'd buy a lot of stuff overseas. So and then I got in contact with a lot of like I was already buying from people in Japan. So before like selling to people in Japan, so out there the stuff was created there, and these people are say bought it originally when they're young, so they're trying to get rid of it at a lower price for like older people here selling out like an estate sale or something. So you can find things that may be cheaper there. And another thing with Japan, they're big on condition. So if anything had like a little spot or a little rip or tear, the price would be drastically down. So to even get any of the pieces over here, the price is already up even with a small flaw. But
Yeah,
so with the bit,
interesting.
yeah. So with the bins, I guess I was going to the racks and stuff, and then I guess I stumbled across the Goodwill by the pound because that's what people would call it, and it was just another Goodwill. And then I went in, and there's these full big blue bins, and I was just so confused on all this stuff. And I remember the first time I went in there, I would barely look at stuff. Like I was wearing gloves, I barely wanted to touch the things. And then I found like an old pair of Adidas shorts and like an old '90s T-shirt or something. I was like, oh, I'm actually finding stuff, and I was like, and it was under $1 for both of these things. I was like, I got to come back, and then I started going, and then I started seeing regulars there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Ryan from Scorpio Rising, but that's a big store in Tacoma here.
Yeah, well,
So,
I've heard more because I've been hanging with Jacob a bit, and he talked about Scorpio rising a bunch. So yeah, it's on the radar now.
so yeah, I saw him there picking, and when I went to the store, I saw the same people. I was confused. I was like, wait, you guys are the same people here, and I was like, you can actually like do something with it. So, you know, those early days I feel like was like right when bin picks starting to happen. So new people coming into the bins weren't really favorite, I guess. And for me, I was staying away from like all the regulars. Like everyone would be lined up on the front of the store, and I go all the way to the back and just mind my business for a second. But after like a year or so, they saw me picking the same stuff as them and gaining the knowledge, and then they try to buy stuff off of me, and that's where I started learning more once people started buying stuff off of you.
Yeah, that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
Like, why do you guys always want these stupid things that I find?
Yeah, I feel like the first big thing I found that was worth money, I found a Neon Genesis shirt, like an original Neon Genesis shirt, and Ryan tried to buy it off me. He was like, "Hey, I'll buy that off you." And then I knew about like looking stuff up, and I was like, "Oh, I already looked this one up," and I saw there was like a comp for like $300 or something. I was like, I found a shirt in a bin full of kids' clothes that's worth like $300, and after that, it was like, yeah, you got to keep going.
Yeah, for sure. Um, you mentioned there, you're like, after a year, they started to like buy shit off me. It's crazy to think how closed off the world is of like, like people are very protective of their sources, right? Obviously.
Yeah,
Now it's so different because now you go to the bins, that bin's probably like overrun with so many people. I don't know what your bins is like now, but um,
can't really do much about it.
no, for sure. So I have another question coming in from Le Garbage.
Okay.
I love his name. He's a homie. I see him at the Rose Bowl all the time.
Yeah, my guy
It's
Connor.
yeah, Le Garbage with two A's. You gotta like elongate it.
It's
It's a
fancy.
Fancy Fred's garbage. Summer trend predictions. And then actually your boy Keaton again comes in with what drives trends in vintage fashion. So this is like a double whammy. So summer trends and what drives the trends.
Summer trend predictions. I feel like one trend that's already been on the rise, but I feel like is even getting more is like old button ups. Like when it comes to like the 50, 60 button ups, like, the what people classify as like the loop collars everyone wears now. So I feel like those and like bowling shirts, they've kind of been on the rise the past years, but I feel like even more now, a lot of people are gaining attention, or you see a lot more people posting and try to sell them, or people looking for them for their markets and things or whatnot to try to sell because it's in high demand. So I feel like the button ups are a big thing. And even with like the Hawaiian shirts too, the Hawaiian shirts are like, I feel like a lot of more reserved for like the old guys and things, but now even the younger guys are on and looking for the Hawaiian shirts. Even Lane Garbage posted some really cool ones recently, and they all sold pretty quick.
Wow, you're rocking one right now. What are you
Yeah,
rocking?
this is like a 40s, like it has like Japanese kind of novelty type print with the flat pockets and like a hidden button.
Sick.
A nice little silk one.
That's good to hear. I mean, Hawaiian shirts on the rise is rad, and the button ups in general, that's cool. Interesting take. I didn't really see that, but good to know because they're available. They're not like super rare.
Yeah, and it's more. I feel like people are going back to like a more clean, simple style rather than all the way out there. So a nice button up is easy to layer over a t-shirt or wear by itself or dress up or dress down.
Yeah. When you look at like trends and things, and vintage is interesting because we're pulling from, I don't know, I mean, turn of the century to all the
Yeah.
way to like the 80s or 2000s,
Hmm.
and we're that's a 100-year period, right, of
Yeah.
fashion, right? There's a lot of different styles, a lot of different periods. You have army clothing, you have workwear, you have hippie stuff, you have 80s pop culture, 90s pop culture, all these things that like mix and
The
mash together.
Y2K and golf.
Yeah. Like first of all, what's your personal style? Like where do you fall in that with what you like to wear? And then talk about just like mixing different eras and shit.
Quick intermission to the show, everybody. If you're liking what you're hearing, if you're excited to keep listening, don't waste any more time. Go jump on the Patreon for your 7-day free trial. It's $5 after that. That is $1.25 per episode. $1.25 for 2 hours of pure listening, joy, and education. So go jump on the Patreon, or you can join down below to the YouTube channel and listen right here on YouTube, or again on the Patreon for your 7-day trial. Also, guys, I never really talk about wholesale on here, but F as in Frank is a wholesale company as well as a retail company. We have stores, but we also do wholesale. We have a warehouse in Toronto. We can supply most of what you need in the vintage world. We don't really wholesale a ton of hype vintage, but we do wholesale all your regular retail essentials. We also are currently wholesaling the Yeezy Gap unreleased season. If you guys want unreleased Yeezy Gap in your store, all you got to do is hit us up. Hit me up on the DMs, Drew Heifetz, or hit Jesse up, Jesse Heifetz on Instagram, and we will sort you guys out with what you need. Maybe it's a fit for your business, so hit us up for wholesale.
I honestly like to wear everything. I feel like I'm a bit more broad than most because like I'm wearing like a pair of like Y2K baggy cargos with like a 40s button up and a chainsaw camo hat. So I like things that are I feel like things that are tasteful, putting multiple different eras of tasteful things together because you can take things from everywhere. So my personal style is so much all around the board. It's really hard to pinpoint it because for me, my love of clothes is everywhere. So it's hard not to wear everything. So I'll still wear like Supreme stuff that I had back in years, or like my designer stuff, or like a pair of Rick Owens pants, or like a vintage tee or button up, or like you can really nice like wearing like 50s stuff, like 50s jackets or button ups goes really well with wearing like clean designer items because they look so clean and to the tee. And a lot of the stuff was inspired by it. It already fits right in.
Yeah. So what are some favorite pieces you have currently in your rotation?
I love my animal print stuff, so like fuzzy animal print stuff, Kodiak and campus things, like lace
Yeah,
up pullovers. I have a few of those. Um, I've been really liking. I recently got like some '50s Ben Davis work pants, so like old black work pants. I have a pair of like old '40s cotton donut button work pants. I have like the kind of like swoop pockets.
cool.
Um, what else do I like? I love a good souvenir jacket, so I have like a nice black souvenir jacket in rotation that I wear. This one
Yeah,
I
what's
don't
this?
wear.
What's
This
this
one.
one? Is that
Oh,
like a
this one.
German one or something?
No, this is probably the craziest Vietnam souvenir I've seen. So it's a Vietnam souvenir jacket, and it has almost like a Hell's Angels kind of skull head on there with a plane right above it, and then on the
That's
front
wild.
it has another snake and skull. Has skulls on both of the arms, along with the ears on the arms, and then his division on the chest. So
Is
it's
that
a
like
just
is that for sale or is that staying in the personal?
come see me at Rendezvous. It'll be there.
When's the next rendezvous?
Sorry, I got a call. It was actually Jacob trying to call me. He knows that
Yo, man,
I'm
why are you
busy,
trying to
but
interrupt the podcast?
the next rendezvous is September. So I'll be doing September and Rose Bowl at the same weekend, or rendezvous and Rose Bowl at the same weekend in September.
Okay, okay. So if you want that crazy jacket, yeah, the I've never seen that one. Is that does that have
Yeah.
reversible print? Probably not, right? Because it's Vietnam.
No, it's not a reversible
Yeah,
one because Vietnam. They didn't do the reversible ones during Vietnam.
yeah. They were like thinner, like not quilted ones. Yeah, the it's funny, like anything in vintage with the skull goes crazy. Like a Harley shirt with the skull goes crazy. Souvenir jacket with the skull
Yeah,
goes crazy. Um, that
yeah,
one is fucking wild, man. Yeah, that's totally like an
yeah,
HA vibe. That thing will be like, dude, people will be running for that at Rendezvous, dude.
yeah. It's gonna be one of those ones on top. I feel like it's you don't ever see like really Vietnam ones. You usually see the old ones with the two skulls on the chest and the snake and skull on the back. It's one of the most notorious ones, but it was really cool to find this one.
So, do you have a story about how you found that thing?
It was actually an Instagram snipe. It wasn't like a crazy pull or
Nice.
anything. It was like, see it on the story and swipe up. And I don't know, it's a bit hard with the Instagram, but I put that kind of in the notes. It was one of those things like going back and forth with offers, like, send an offer. The guy's like, okay, I'll keep it in mind. And I'm like, oh, how about this much? And I was like, okay, I'll still consider it. So then just wait and game. Oh, another person sent a higher offer. They also sent another higher offer. Like, okay, well, I guess I'll do this. And then it finally gets to the point of like, all right, can we close it out here? It's like, okay, we can do it after it's been a few hours and they haven't, maybe not any more people are swiped up or they want to make the sale. Because with Instagram too, attention span is short, so you might have someone's attention trying to buy a piece, and then you take too long responding. They don't even care anymore because it's been posted. So many people asked about it, and it's gone. Type of deal.
Yeah, but then you also have the dicks that will like say they're going to sell it to you and then pull the deal, right? Because then someone else hits them for more, even though they've already agreed to your deal. And then
Yeah, we
you
agreed on a
also,
price, and then
yeah, you also got to be careful
go
because if
ahead.
you say too much, that if you like say too high of a price, then they're like, oh, now I think this thing's like worth 1 million, and then you're like, fuck.
Yeah, it's happened to the point where like I've sent a very fair price, or maybe I'm not even making any money on the piece, or I can only make a little bit, and it's like I just really want it, and now it's like, oh, I'm gonna wait. I think I'm gonna ponder it. I'm gonna keep it and see how it goes, or take it to this next event or something like that. And like it's understandable. That's what makes it a bit harder with buying true vintage now. I feel like there's a lot of people once they get like their first old piece or a few old pieces and they haven't dealt with a bunch, they hold it to a really really high standard and put it on a pedestal and don't really want to get rid of it.
Yeah, and that's sort of the evolution, as you probably know too, being doing what you do, the way you came into it, sneakers, then like designer, and then into like true vintage. It's like you get hyped on something like that that you haven't seen before, but it becomes harder and harder to get. And like somebody who's just getting into that sees like some '60s fucking random like bowling shirt, and it's like this. All of a sudden, it's like the coolest thing they've ever fucking seen, and that thing is like gold to them because they've never seen anything
Hmm.
cooler. So it's like the values of things
Yeah,
are
and I've
so
touched like 100 of them.
exactly, the values of things are so subjective based on like your experience, and people get attached to weird things.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Definitely. And then it becomes there's like you have the value of it, the like the sellable price, and then you want to keep it and be the final owner price.
Yeah, exactly. And I know a lot of people like that where they would rather just not sell it just to like own it, but also like there's people that won't sell to a reseller. Like it's like something in their
Yeah,
brain that's like, I no no, I'm gonna wait for 10 years till I can find the end buyer for this. Even though like
yeah.
I probably never will. It'll like live in my garage forever or whatever.
Hmm.
And they just have like a thing they won't sell to a reseller, even though a lot of times resellers are gonna pay more because
Yeah.
they're willing to lose, or they'll have like a buyer who this person will never find, or
Yeah.
whatever it is, you know.
Or yeah, sometimes it's you're gonna if that someone's firm on it, you're still gonna pay their price or something. And you're not making any money. It's like keeping a connection or keeping a relationship where like certain people they might have to fulfill an order and they need certain pieces and things. It's like I don't know. People definitely get scared to sell to resellers, and I feel like it's you gain so much and build so many connections selling to other resellers and more than you can know. So
Yeah, so talk about that, talk about selling to wholesale or to other resellers. 'Cause essentially, if you're selling to another reseller, it is wholesale. Whether you're getting whatever value
yeah.
you're getting, it's still wholesale. And like, do you have any tips for buying, like
Uh,
through Instagram, or just in general?
Oh, I guess for a start, we could start off with the selling to other
Yeah.
resellers. I feel like when you're selling to other resellers, the most realistic way to go about it is being real with your profit margin. So if you see if something's worth something, you feel like you can potentially get that, but you don't really want to hold out 2 years or so. How much did you get the piece for? So you can sell it to a reseller at a price where you're still making money. You go buy the next piece and it goes. And like a really good like I feel like business tip is like more small sales over a shorter period of time is always going to equate to more like larger sales over a long period of time because you're going through pieces, you're cycling more, you're getting more pieces and learning more. So I feel like when you're selling to resellers, you might sell something that you didn't know, and you see their reaction of it, or they're super excited about it, or they might ask you for more of it, or you just kind of learn based off of what you do sell or what you sell it for, or what offers you might get for it that you not have got elsewhere.
Yeah, totally. That's a good point. I look at it, it's the speed too in which you can sell it, like you're saying. If you can sell it super quick, it's okay to like take a small margin, but if you're going to sit on something forever, you don't want to take that small margin because you're like got too much money held up in something that's going to be sitting there, right?
Yeah. So I
Um,
feel like you can also evaluate it by piece. Like if you invested a bit more into like, yeah, you should try to work towards selling. But if you got it for a cheap price, you can also sell it for, a fair price or hold out a bit longer because you got it for so low. If you really, really appreciate the piece.
yeah. Because if everything you own, if everything you sell is like super high end, first of all, you have way less transactions in your business because
Yeah.
you're waiting for like these high end transactions all the time. It's like working in a fucking jewelry store where the rings are all like 50 grand. It's like you might get like one
Hmm.
sale a day. How boring is that? You're sitting there all day waiting for
Yeah.
the one sale. You know,
Hmm.
you gotta. I like being in a business where like things move quick, like you're saying, and then what you're saying is that as you do that, you'll be able to buy more. You'll be able to have more product come through your hands and learn more because you really need to touch it, feel it, see it to get the knowledge, right?
Yeah. So like I buy for like four different things. Like I'll buy for Instagram, like products for my Instagram that I know are filtered to that. Then I'll buy like stuff that's specifically for flea markets. Then I'll buy stuff for like I don't know if you know the store Red Light in
Yeah,
Seattle.
yeah, totally.
It's like so I still do red light appointments and everyone takes their low end stuff, so even like new stuff, but they always look forward to my appointments because I take like actual vintage stuff and quality stuff. So I make like a lower end pile of like red light stuff like I'll pick up at the bins or from cheap buys that I know like I'll go do that once a month and they're gonna buy like four IKEA bags full of stuff. And then I'll do stuff for like I with Scorpio Rising. I'll put stuff aside for them, and then I have a booth in Seattle at the store called Barn Owl, so I do stuff specifically for that. So I'm selling a little bit of everything. I'm not only selling true vintage. Like I sell Y2K lady stuff. I sell good '90s T-shirts and jeans and crew necks. I sell '70s stuff. So try to sell everything I can.
Nice. You have a booth at Barn Owl?
Yeah, I do. Well, now it's not really booths; it's just like vendors. But yeah, I'm a seller at Barn Owl.
That's rad. So
Yeah.
he opens it up to like a few different sellers get to come in and vend there.
Yeah. So I sold it when they had, at first they were in the back of like a vintage furniture shop, so small, and they had probably like 6 to 10 vendors. Now there's a bunch more, and they're new, really huge location that's really cool. They have a bunch of cool stuff there. So
Yeah, that's rad. I like that guy. I forget his name, but he's a great guy.
yeah, his name's Josh.
Josh, shout out Josh Barn Owl. If you're in Seattle, check it. And Red Light's been there forever.
Yeah,
They're,
Red Light's been there
they're like
forever.
establishment,
So
man. And yeah, and I guess their model is just buy right over the counter, right? There's someone there buying all day.
yeah, they buy every day, all day, and they're
That's
just moving through stuff.
that's dope.
And they even go buy from like, bigger people too. Like they'll go buy from like Eric Bill or Junkyard Jeans and stuff to get different things. So they do it all.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought they'd be trying to buy like high end, or maybe they're just buying regular from those guys. But
Yeah, like good regular stuff where it'd be like good Levi's or good Levi jackets and things that they have good stock of good quality product.
so were you always in Tacoma?
Yeah, always been in Tacoma.
Dope.
Yeah.
Um, so now you've like established yourself. You have clients that come see you, correct? So you're getting people that come
Mhm.
through your apartment or your showroom, whatever it is.
Yeah, so I have a storage unit, but now I'm getting rid of that and I'm going to upgrade to a new showroom space that I haven't really talked about too much, but it's going to be in downtown Tacoma, a big showroom space with really high ceilings and things and nice small view of the city. So that'll be really cool. But I usually do my storage unit appointments for like low tier mid stuff. So I have a bunch of like $5 to $10 to $15 stuff for people to come stock up, where people need for flea markets or people that sell on platforms and different things. And then for my high end customers, I have a 2 bedroom apartment, so I have people come there to like my showroom in the apartment, and we do that. I have racks set up, a bunch of shelves and different things. So
I'm gonna come see you. I'm coming through like
yeah,
End of July.
yeah, please do. You're more than welcome.
I want to come do a buy to the store, both.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so this is interesting. I'm actually after this podcast, I gotta like do a couple things. Then I'm driving
yeah.
to my homeboy in Kelowna. Then I'm driving down from there
Okay.
tomorrow to Chelan.
Oh wow.
You know
Okay.
Chelan?
Nice. Yeah, Lake Chelan's nice. It's really nice. What are you doing out there?
So we're going. There's like this artificial like surf wave at this like water park there that they just
Hmm.
opened up. So we're gonna go surf this thing
Oh wow.
and like hang out for a couple days, and just try to like do some picking. So I want to know, have you ever got out there picking?
I guess a little bit. I said if you're going on weekend, you'll probably be in luck because now are the warmer weekends. So there's been a bunch of sales out. So that'd be your best bet would be sales, and then check for like small thrift stores and like I feel like there's a few out there, or antique stores probably be your best bet. But when it comes to Chelan, there's not a bunch of clothes out there or like things for clothes. It's more like people going out there to camp and things like
Yeah,
that.
that's like a small town, right?
Yeah,
But there's still a bunch of towns out that way, isn't there? Like,
yeah. So any towns in the surrounding areas, I say, yeah, best bet's going to try to like, go to the flea markets and stores. If it's in smaller towns, you'll have better luck finding stuff in the actual stores rather than like Tacoma or Seattle going to a rack. You're barely usually going to find much, but out there in the smaller cities, there's still luck. And then just having conversations with people as well. Like you see someone wearing something old, or you see someone that might have something good, having a conversation, see where it goes.
yeah, I know that's the thing. I gotta like just pull up to a farm. I gotta get Eric Bill on it and just like literally, I'm gonna roll up to a farm and be like, "Hey, let me. Here's a hundred
Yeah.
dollars. Can I go check out your barn?"
Yeah, or if someone's outside, it's like at least you can do is say hi. Like the other day, I went and did some sales in a nearby city, and I was going to these people. I left a sale, and then I'm going down the road, and I see a house like across the street close to them, and it looks like old houses, and they look pretty full. So I was like, I asked my friend, I was like, should we go back? He's like, I'm just gonna go back and ask. I was like, hey, the people that own them there? Like, oh yeah, they're at work right now. They've been there for years, but they haven't touched the house in a long time. They just stay in the trailer homes and own all their property over there and live next to their parents. But give your information, we can give you a call, we can get in contact with them. So just trying to talk to people a bit more and see where it goes.
Yeah, totally. How do you break the ice with some shit like that? Like, have you ever actually rolled up to a farm and tried to do that?
Yeah, and I mean, pick bandos here and there, found things, but yeah, sometimes it's hard, but either people are going to turn you off or be open to it, or if you are out in those open roads and see things that's like miles and miles apart and clearly hasn't been touched in a long time, so you feel like you might just have to go for it and do it. And I've definitely hit a few times.
Yeah. So have you ever gone out to Boise?
I've been like right close. Idaho. I went there a little bit, but I mostly went to like Spokane area and stayed out there and picked there, and then went to Idaho for like a day to hit a few stores. But I haven't gone out there to like either pick or anything like that. I do want to.
Washington, yeah, Eastern Washington is like pretty sweet. It's like there's not much going on out there.
Yeah,
I
it's
could,
cool.
I want to really explore more. I know Chelan is like very touristy, like summer camping, fucking like
Hmm.
vacation land, right? But I think
Yeah.
northern Washington down to Chelan. If anybody's listening to this podcast, by the way, and is in that area and has shit they want to sell me, hit me up because this podcast comes out Wednesday and I'll still be there. So hit me up
Hmm.
immediately. Um, but hopefully there's some stuff between like the border and Chelan on the way down.
Yeah, I forget how far. I think it's a bit far out, the Tri Cities away from Chelan. But I have my friend Aiden out there, and you actually did a small like interview with him in Durango. But he's out in the Tri Cities doing the vintage thing and running
Oh,
things out
Aiden,
there.
dude, he's the homie.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. He's cool. He lives
yeah.
out
His
there.
Instagram name recently, yeah, in the Tri Cities, Instagram name recently got changed to Object.wa. But if you're out there, go give him a follow or go shop with him as well.
Oh, I think he asked you a question. It comes up in this. Okay, let's go to his question
Yeah, that's my
since
guy.
you're mentioning
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Him
What
and
did he
Zach,
say?
Aiden and Zach are the guys.
Okay. Object.wa did drop a question. Object.wa, Washington. Before we get into this question, Tri Cities is like quite a bit south, right?
Yeah.
It's like southern Washington, or how far do you think it is from
Uh,
Chelan?
I honestly don't know the relation in my mind. Like I'd have to look it up on maps 'cause I don't go either out there too much. But
I might have to hit him up. Okay.
yeah,
Object.wa. What's your favorite time in vintage? That's the question.
uh, I guess I'm guessing he's talking about an era. I said my favorite time eventually would be the 50s, 60s era for sure. Everything from there, like where it comes to like the rockabilly stuff and the old animal prints and button ups and cool pants and things. And then there's great denim and stuff during that era too, in the 50s and 60s. And I like a lot of hunting and military stuff too. So like right before, so I love 40 stuff, World War II stuff, and Vietnam era stuff, things like that. Cool old hunting jackets and cargo jackets and old fishing jackets, things like that.
Dope. See, when I heard that question, I was thinking he meant like, what's your favorite experience that you've had in vintage?
Oh,
But I mean, that's
favorite
cool that you
experience.
double question. So, yeah.
Okay, well, favorite experience. I'd say Durango is probably my favorite experience in vintage. He was there. I went with Zach, my friend. This is all right on Instagram. We drove down and we filled up the trunk of stuff, and we should have brought more stuff. It was like not expected to sell out almost everything in the trunk. It didn't come to sell, but we are like, oh, maybe we could bring some cool stuff, some high end stuff, see how it goes. And nearly everyone will want to shop your trunk. People are coming from all over the country and the world, so they're gonna want to see anything new they can.
Yeah,
And
it's surprising that you got, I mean, I was there, so it's surprising how good people did for how little people were there. Like it wasn't crazy amounts of people, right? Like
yeah,
it was like a quite an intimate event when you really break it down.
but a lot of the heavy hitters were there, so that's what made it big. Like I got off the back by Snappy.
Nice.
Yeah, I was wearing old button up shirt and never even met him, but he makes eye contact with me like, "Oh, is that so and so the shirt?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is." He's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "No, I wouldn't want to sell." He's like, "No price." I'd be like, "I mean, $1,000 would take, but I don't even want to sell." And then we end up parked right next to each other, and I go to my car, and then he's at his car at the same time. He's like, "You think you're mine?" He's like, I'm like, "All right, man, $1,000 would take it." He's like, "Can I see it?" He looks at it. He's like, if I had the tag, I could do 1,000, but I'd probably be at 900. I knew at that point he won, and I was like, no, I got to do it. He's like, let me try it on, and then tries it on, and it's gone.
What shirt
But
was it?
it was an old animal print button-up shirt.
Sick, dude. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Snappy
but
Steez. I don't know if you noticed, but
yeah,
Snappy was wearing like Walmart Velcro shoes at the event. I don't know why, because I'm like, Snappy is always dressed like super nice, rockabilly vibes, wearing like boots
oh
or
man,
something, or like, so, like he's
that's
got, and then I
hilarious.
just was like, dude, your outfit is sick, but you're wearing these like Walmart Velcro shoes. I guess he didn't want to get any shoes muddy because it was like,
Yeah,
we're out
what
in the
I think
dirt.
was he didn't want to get too dirty, so he just got some cheap shoes so it wouldn't be too dirty. Because the rockabilly style is clean to the T, like not
Exactly.
a single flaw, not a single spot, like everything's just perfect.
Yeah,
So
100%.
even his Walmart shoes were perfect. They looked clean, like
They
brand
were
new.
they were clean. I was like, yo, you're gonna start the trend right now, man. This is it. Bring the Velcro
Yeah.
shoes back. It's funny. It's a good topic too. Like certain styles within vintage can be different condition, and like rockabilly is one where like that culture and that look has to be clean because you're wearing
Yeah.
like you're looking a certain way, and it wasn't like a distressed look ever. You know?
No. So when people like, for example, when are trying to sell stuff, or when it comes to people trying to sell true vintage, they're trying to sell the stuff from the 50s and 60s and ask a crazy amount for things that's either has holes or flaws or faded and distressed, and they think it's a good look. When it comes to that type of stuff, it's not a good look to the people who's actually buying it. Like I'd say for like the younger guys, it works out, or even like some of the international customers, like some of the Japanese guys, would be like, oh, for the younger customers, it might work, or younger guys will buy like stuff like that. But a lot of the people who are buying for that look and actually specialize in that style, they don't want any holes or distressing or any type of flaws.
Yeah. Yeah, so
So it does
it's
really
tricky
matter.
because sometimes you'll find like a wicked piece and you're like, this is not going to move, or it's the value's just cut because it's like got a
Yeah,
little mark or it's dirty or something. You find like a Gab shirt and it's just fucked up. And
yeah.
but then you could find like a chambray and it could be like hanging off by a thread work shirt, and you're like,
Hmm.
it's good to go. You know.
Yeah, yeah, we're ready. Exactly. Or
Um,
like people that love, like people like their oil rag T-shirts, like stuff that are used in the shop for oil, but it's been washed 3 times, so it's actually a really clean shirt, but it's just oiled out.
yeah. That's my new thing now. Like when I go to yard sales, I've been hitting a lot of yard sales. Obviously, springtime is the fucking yard sale season, right? Like everyone's out doing yard sales right now, or garage sales, however, whatever you call it. So my town, like, because we have fuck all. You were here. It's a small town, right?
Yeah.
There's not much going on. Like we have like one thrift store, which is pretty good because they get a high turnover. So basically, anyone
Hmm.
donating in my town, they donate to that one thrift store. We don't even have like donation bins in this whole town, which is kind of crazy.
Weird.
Yeah,
Do you feel
so
like a lot of clothes get thrown away then based off of that?
well, I mean, most people would bring it to this one store, but you have to like donate at the back door. There's no bin for it. And then
Yeah.
I, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I should just put a bin up somewhere. One of those fucking
Yeah.
donation
I
bins.
mean, talking about that'd be super smart. You could put a few around. Since there's none, I'm sure people start using it.
Yeah, and way more convenient than having to like go between certain hours to donate.
Yeah.
But yeah, yard sale season. So me and my boys, like Saturday, Sunday, we've been hitting yard sales. It's so easy in my town because you can drive around and there's like 6 or 7 main intersections where everybody will put their signs, right? So like
Yeah.
I can see the whole town in by lunchtime and I'm good, right? If there's a
Hmm.
lot of yard sales. Anyway, so I'm at these yard sales and that's my thing. I'm like, I'm always asking, do they have clothes? Because hardly any people put clothes out. And I'm always asking for like the rags. I'm like, I will buy your dirty old rags. Like, bring me the fucking rags, like t-shirts that you did
Yeah.
use for wiping up oil in the garage. I want those, and you
Hmm.
have to like drill that into people because it's literally sitting on the floor in the basement or something, right?
Yeah, and they don't care about it. What type of stuff are you finding out there? Then, if you're going yard selling, like, what do you encounter?
Rarely do I find like true vintage, but my town, because you saw it, it's big in like outdoors gear. So I get a ton of
Hmm.
good brands like Patagonia, Arc'teryx, all the outdoor shit, right? And then like
Okay.
ski stuff. Like I got a bunch of 80s like Bogner ski jackets this weekend. Bought like a
Hmm.
new with tags Carhartt for like $20 jacket. What else did I
That's
find?
easy.
Yeah, like easy stuff, good stuff to flip. Rarely do I find real vintage here. This is just more like a hobby thing for me and my boys to go out.
Hmm. Yeah.
But it's super fun. I love yard sales no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. Always a good time.
So we're at the time of the show where we're switching into the Patreon. We're at the 45-minute mark. So what I want to say here is, if you guys are listening and you want to hear more, we're about to drop the quiz. I have a vintage quiz for you. Okay. And this
All
quiz,
right.
this quiz is generated by Chat GPT. I just typed into the AI, make me a vintage denim quiz, and we're going to jump
Oh
into that
my.
right now. So if you want to get on that, if you want to hear the rest of the full episode, go jump on the Patreon, um, because we got a lot more topics to cover, including the AI quiz.
Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to hear Isaiah drop his knowledge on the vintage AI Chat GPT quiz, all you got to do is click down below, jump on the Patreon. You get a free 7-day free trial. It's as easy as that. And then it's only $5 a month, which basically is $1.25 per episode. The amount of knowledge you're going to get for $1.25 is insane. It's like a college education into the world of vintage. Click down below, jump on the Patreon, and thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going live this month a few times on Easy App with Bid Stitch, so make sure you go download the Easy App on the iTunes Store. It's Easy Live in the iTunes Store. And check out FasandFrankVintage.com. We're dropping tons of vintage every week on there. If you're in Vancouver, go to my shop, F as in Frank Vintage on Main Street. And if you're in Squamish, come here to my warehouse store, F as in Frank Squamish. See you guys on the next one. Be happy, not crappy.